Everybody, welcome back to this Let's Play of Final Fantasy 1 for the PS1. I am Drak, and thump, ow, somebody hurt themselves. Oh, it's an old man, okay. Oh, the crystal eye, the crystal eye! Ow! Okay, apparently he's blind. Curses! I can't see a thing without the crystal eye! Why do you have a crystal eye to begin with? That seems kind of expensive. Who on earth stole it from me? Okay, stole or it's rolling around on the floor somewhere. Alright, so people may have noticed in the previous part I was making my way up to this cave. And it's home of the wizard Matoya. Well, I'm gonna warn people right off the bat, the first little bit is kind of weird in the fact that you aren't just going off to take care of the crystals right away. You kind of have to endear yourself a little bit. And one of the ways that you need to is you need to help Matoya find his missing eye. Now, why we don't just make the assumption that it's lost and it's just rolling around on the floor in his cave, I don't know. But it actually isn't there, so bear with me. I know what I'm doing. Because what you don't know is that Matoya's eye is fairly powerful, and it has a little bit of clairvoyant property. So he can see into the future. He's all that. He's all that in a bag of chips. He's a fortune teller. So he can help us to be able to find the crystals, I hope. I think. And while we're making our way to Pravica, another little interesting piece of trivia here is that for those who have not played the games, or played the NES game, this is one of those few iterations where it wasn't crystals right off the bat. Crystals didn't really get introduced in the US until 4? Yeah, 4. Well, the 4th iteration, it was 2 dies. I'll get into the numbering later. In this game, when it came out in the NES, they were referred to as orbs. So they were orbs of the 4 elements. If you haven't figured that out by now, they were the orb of earth, the orb of fire, the orb of water, etc. And I actually liked in the PS1 version they went back to crystals, because they've been using crystals ever since. And crystal sounds better, at least to me. But yes, we are making our way to the town of Pravica because while we're trying to look for Matoya's eye, we can't really go that many places. So, and if it's not in the cave, then maybe it'll be in the town of Pravica. Who knows? For those who know the story, don't spoil it. I love some of the names of the enemies. Crazy Horse. Okay. Alright, and here it is. The town of Pravica. So while here, we've got to deal with a little bit of a situation called grinding. Grinding happens a lot, guys. Bear with me, and you're not going to have to deal with it. So that's the plus of it. Plus, while grinding, it also allows you to get the money you need to buy new magic spells, new weapons, new armor, since we actually have to worry about that now. We actually have to worry about having money, and money is a problem. I know in Mystic Quest it wasn't, but Mystic Quest was training wheels. Now, we're actually playing an RPG. And this guy doesn't really have much else. I mean, he's got a broadsword, scimitar. The broadsword's more expensive, so it probably will do more for my warrior. That's usually the way it goes, at least until you start getting items from actual dungeons. Look at that. We have some new sprites on the screen. But before them, we're going to go look at the armor. Lots of armor. Very expensive armor for the warrior. But we also have access to a shield. And one of the things that's... For those who play MMOs, you know, a lot of people wonder, okay, where did the tank healer, all that, those tropes come from? You kind of had them in these early RPGs. Your warrior had to be bulk. or built to take a hit, and then you kind of sat there for most of the game and hoped he was the guy getting hit, so he was an easy heal. Same thing happens in MMOs. That's why you want the tank up in front and taking damage, so that you have an easy heal or an easy time for the healer who just has to worry about the one big guy taking all the big hits. It doesn't look like there's too much in the white magic department in this part of the game. That's kind of disappointing, but also kind of a good thing, because magic has been restricted to levels, and you only get 3 spells of a level, so as you get through the game later, you really have to start tightening down on things. However, it does look like we'll be able to get 1 spell for Vivi. We're going to be able to get the ice spell, and then also I'm going to get steel. Steel is a buff that you can put on melee characters to have them hit harder, which will be very helpful later on when I want my monk and my warrior to be doing as much damage as they can. Because as soon as I run out of magic charges with the black and white mage, I'm going to be up a creek. And at this point, I actually do take a quick break for... Alright, and we're back. We got the grinding done, and this is all well and good. We're going to show you really quick now. I'm up to level 10, so you're starting to see some health differences. Our charges are fairly high. We don't really need to worry too much about things hurting too much. I'm sure I could put that another way, but that's the best way to put it in my head right now. But while we're in Provica, we noticed these new sprites, so we better go talk to them. Say, I don't think you know who you're talking to. I really don't, so if you want to elaborate. Fellas, teach these guys how to respect the great pirate Bick. Oh, you're a pirate. Okay. Well, that would have been great to know. I don't know why you have to punish me for it. Aye, aye, boss. We'll take care of them. Okay, whatever. Now, this is one unique trait of the first game that doesn't really happen in the next games to follow. You have up to 9 enemies, or you can have up to 9 enemies up on the screen. It just depends on their size. So at this point, I have 9 pirates, which looked like 2 in the game, coming and attacking me. But they're not all that hard to kill. I can't talk today. Why not? That's okay. We're pushing them over real hard. And unfortunately, I haven't hit a magic level yet where I can actually start casting on everybody. In later games, they let you do it regardless, but in the first couple of games, you actually had like single target spells and or area of effect spells, AoE. 9 down to 4 to 3. I like level. This is why I grind kind of hard, guys. Is I have my own system, and the reason I have it is because I actually like to just plow through the story, and this allows me to do that. For people who aren't familiar with that, if you are or want to get familiar, I'm also doing a Pokemon LP with my brother-in-law Alex, aka ShadowBlazer3000, on youtube.com/DrakandShadow. We're doing Pokemon Blue and Yellow, and I'm taking Blue, and I just like to plow through it and get the story done. Oh, I'm so sorry, sirs. Won't do no bad from now on, I swear. Yeah, I don't believe you. You're a pirate. Here, take my ship. Are you literally holding the keys in front of me? We obtained the ship. So now we have a mode of transportation to start exploring the world, which will help us to find things like Matoya's Eye. But yeah, back to Pokemon. Yeah, I'm taking Blue. Alex is doing Yellow, and for people who watch the Blue LP, I just like plowing through the story. So my Pokemon are fairly overpowered just because I want 1 or 2 shot kills, and that's the way I roll. But now we're on the ship. Now, one of the things that makes the ship different from other Final Fantasy games is you can actually have random encounters on the ship. They're just lessened. I don't like the fact they did that, but later on it gets fixed, so I'm willing to deal with it. But people will notice I went a lot further south than I was before, and I'm actually going to the Kingdom of Elfheim. Oh my gosh, are there elves in this game? Are we entering the Tolkien universe? Come on, guys, it's fantasy. It's an RPG. Of course there are elves, dwarves, and all that. And so now we're going to spend some time over at the Kingdom of Elfheim. We're just going to go right to the castle, because, man, we're the Light Warriors. We can go wherever we want. The king is sleeping on us? What the crap? Astos cast a curse on our prince 5 years ago, causing him to fall into deep slumber. Yeah, these are like the Keebler elves. What can lift this curse? So, this is actually the Elven Prince. I don't think it actually said in the dialogue. And he's been put into a deep slumber by the Dark Elf Astos. So now we have another objective. You know, we're looking for Matoya's Crystal Eye, but now we also have to get the Elf Prince to wake up. Again, we're the Light Warriors, we're trying to endear ourselves to people. But in the meantime, I had to go and do some quick grinding. Now I'm level 15! I really like to be overpowered, guys, so there's going to be a pattern here. You're starting to see our stats going way, way up. Our charges are going even higher. Now we have more magic, especially for VD. He's got a lot of attack magic now. And also I got another buff, Haste, which is really great in Final Fantasy games. It increases attack speed for your melee characters, or your casters, it doesn't really matter. But basically it allows me to get more hits in quickly. And now we're actually going to make our way over to, I don't know if it's actually explained in the towns, but the next place you have to go to is a place called Western Keep, which is, I guess, a fallen elven kingdom. If people want to elaborate on that, that'd be awesome, because I know a little bit about the Final Fantasy games, but I'm not totally into the lore, and I don't have the resources to be able to find it all. But yes, that's our next destination. We're actually going to go over to Western Keep, to go see if maybe we can find either a way to wake the prince or to find Matoya's Eye. Those are our two objectives right now. So Matoya and the prince both have question marks over their heads. Yes, MMO reference. And random encounter after random encounter. This is one of the things that gets frustrating about the older games, is that random encounter rates are high. And so you can literally go one step, two step, and have another encounter. Not so much in the 3D iterations. You know, 7 on, they kind of fixed that. You still had a random encounter rate, but it wasn't as bad. Alright, and that looks like Western Keep right there. We're not going to worry about these wolves and wargs. Wargs and wolves. Alright, here is Western Keep. Again, it's just a torn up castle, so... But there's somebody alive here. Astos has taken all that belonged to this castle. Okay, Astos is a problem for somebody else, too. Please go to the cave in the southern marsh and find the crown. Only the crown can restore this castle. Okay, so Astos has got a curse not only on Elfheim, but on Western Keep, apparently. And the way to take care of it is, there's a crown off in a marsh to the south. So we're gonna go take care of that, because we're the Light Warriors. That's what we do. Because we're the Light Warriors. Doesn't really work with, you know, it's platforming. Nah. You know, with the Light Warriors. And in the meantime, get into encounter after encounter after encounter. And also, since I don't really know the world map all that well, there's a way to bring up the map, but I didn't want to do it in game, or in recording, so I may have a little bit of a problem locating the marsh. I don't think it's going to happen with anywhere else. I pretty much know where to go, aside from the beginning of the game, because the beginning of the game is weird. I, for some reason, remember it differently than I did as a kid. Or I remember it that way, and now I can't ever get the first part of the game right. So one thing that people will occasionally ask me is, you know, with the Mystic Quest LP, as well as I talk a lot about it in the Drak and Shadow LPs when we do RPGs, you know, how did you get started into them? They are probably my favorite game genre. And the reason I got into them was because of my brother. I said this in Mystic Quest, I'll say it here. I watched my brother as a kid play these RPGs. He played the original on the NES, he played games like Ultima, he played Legend of Zelda, and it was fun to watch him play them, but they seemed too hard for me as a kid. So I would just watch. Well, eventually I got good enough at games that RPGs weren't that hard anymore. So I actually started playing them myself and loved it so much, especially with a lot of the RPGs that were coming out on the Super Nintendo at the time, which is what my family had. I loved the game, so I just stuck with RPGs. And I'll play other games like platformers and stuff like that, but RPGs really are kind of my go-to. They're enjoyable for me, especially at the end of the day. It's really fun to just dig deep into an RPG. And if you guys like RPGs, please tell me. I'd love to hear you guys' input. What your favorite game genre is, because I'd probably share some with you. I think the ones that I pointed out on Drak and Shadow were, I love RPGs. I love platformers, especially like old school platformers, because you can classify, you know, Mario, Castlevania, Mega Man. They're all platformers. The action games of today that might have some platforming elements are more action games. I mean, they're God of War, they're Bayonetta, they're Devil May Cry, they're stuff like that. But back in the day, action games were also kind of platformers. And here's another thing I'd also like to hear from people in the comments. I would love to hear, like, your most fond memory of playing an RPG, or even playing Final Fantasy. Not the original. It can be whatever game in the series. I would love to know what your favorites are. Stupid warg wolves. Wolves and wargs. Wargs and wolves. And another question I occasionally get on the LPs for both Drak and Shadow as well as myself is, you know, what are you currently playing? As a gamer, are you into any of the current big games that are out there right now? As I pointed out in Mystic Quest, I'll point it out here, I'm actually very backed up. I'm a full-time college student and have work of my own as well as doing this stuff. So, or doing the LPs. So, I'm a little backed up when it comes to games. To update people, I think I was telling people I was playing Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I finished that. I've been playing God of War 3, actually. And I'm really close to finishing that. And then I'll probably bounce back into Assassin's Creed with the last of the Ezio games. I'm not sure yet. But before we go more into that, we are now in the Marsh Cave. And people are kind of noticing I'm sitting there. It's because I'm looking over maps and making sure I know where I'm going. So in this Marsh Cave is a crown. We gotta go find that to lift the curse that Astos has put on Western Keep. Because we're the Light Warriors. And I do love dungeons, and the fact... This is another reason why I picked the PS1 version, is that in the 16-bit games, they allowed for your character to dash. It makes doing dungeons a little bit faster, and therefore more enjoyable. Yes, I'm a fanboy of the 16-bit, and I love the fact that the original games have all been pretty much remade into 16-bit, except for 3. The third iteration, which never hit our shores, was remade in 3D. I'm kind of iffy about that. I really kind of wish it had. Maybe it would have been better if it was 16-bit. The 3D kind of bothered me. That, and it was on the DS. And that was one of those games that I don't understand why it came to the DS. It didn't really have a whole lot of unique properties to the DS's control scheme. I can only think that it was Square Enix throwing a bone to Nintendo because they wanted to maintain relations with them. All right, now I'm at the bottom floor, and this is actually the chest with the crown. But before then, the chest is obviously being guarded by Cthulhu, or in this game, Paiso demons, or Pisca demons. Joe Piscopo? I don't know. But it's not really going to matter much because I'm a little overpowered at this point. These guys really aren't that hard. I remember my brother having so much more trouble with them back on the NES because as a kid, you don't have the patience to grind. When you get older, you start having the patience. And there we go. Now they're down. Gives a lot of gold, a lot of experience, and obtained the crown. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an exit spell yet, so we do have to run all the way out of the marsh cave. That's okay, right? I mean, you guys aren't bored. Anyway, back to what I was talking about with the games I'm playing. So, yeah, I beat Brotherhood. I'm really close to beating God of War 3. I'm also playing through the original Bayonetta, and enjoying it. It got referred to me because Bayonetta 2 is getting ready to come out on the Wii U. And somebody told me since I was a Devil May Cry fan, I would really enjoy Bayonetta. And they're right. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. It is such a corny story. And it is a little bit of a knockoff of Devil May Cry, and I don't mind that at all. It's got really good humor to it. So, good on you, Sega and Platinum Games. I'm glad you're getting a sequel. That, you know, that's actually one of the main motivators for me to go out and get a Wii U is for Bayonetta 2 right now. Even though it's not out yet. That's actually another question that me and Alex get a lot on Drak and Shadow. I'll answer it on my end. You know, is we've got a new generation of consoles, the 8th generation. Are you going to go out and buy new consoles? Depends on what you mean. I've said it a couple of times, and I'll say it again. This year, probably not. The one that I've had my eye on is we haven't bought a Wii U yet. And now that there's actually a game library that I want to get, like more than just one game, I can justify it. So I am considering getting a Wii U for the holiday season this year, and then waiting maybe a year or two for the PS4 and the Xbox One's libraries to get bigger. And I'm talking bigger in the fact that they have more games that are strictly on that system. And then I'll probably go Sony first. Microsoft has really not done anything to convince me to start playing their console, especially with the fail of Killer Instinct. But anyway, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up this part for the week. Come join us next time as we give the crown to the King of Western Keep and hopefully start getting the other items that we need. But in the meantime, I am Drak, and you have been watching a Let's Play of the original Final Fantasy on PlayStation 1.